Hi YouTube. Today we're going to go over how to properly clean, maintain, and store a 1911 after a rain strip. Now this isn't going to be an in-depth how to strip down a 1911 to the bare frame. This is going to be simply after a rain strip how to field strip it, clean it, lubricate it, and properly put it away for storage. Now this is cool because this is an old antique 1911, so it'll also cover the people who have the antique relics that they don't want to corrode away and rust and all that. This is also a good video for them to watch, but this will cover pretty much any conventional 1911. And first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to pick the gun up. You're going to remove the magazine from it. There's nothing in the magazine, as you can see. You can set that aside, and then we're going to make sure that this gun is not loaded. We're going to check, double check, triple check, and that's what you always do when you're working and cleaning a firearm. So basically the reason we chose this gun is it's an older, loosely put together 1911, so it's really easy to film and show how to strip it down. This is an original Colt from like World War One, and I've gone over this gun a couple times in a couple different videos using the examples. It's not actually dirty. It hasn't been fired since this time, but I'm going to use this one as an example because it's easier to disassemble and assemble on camera. So the first thing you're going to do with the 1911 is you're going to pull the hammer back and you're going to put the thumb safety on. That keeps the slide from going back and forth. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take this barrel bushing and you're going to rotate it. You're going to push it on this plunger that's spring loaded, and you're going to rotate this barrel bushing down while holding pressure on the spring to get the barrel bushing off. So I'm going to do that with my thumb, and I'm going to rotate it that way, and I'm just going to ease the tension on this spring out, and that spring will come out just like that. You can take the plunger off of it. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the thumb safety off, and this slide should freely move now. Now, the one thing you're going to look is there's two grooves in this slide, and we're going to line that slide stop up with the smaller groove right here. And once that's lined up, you can push this slide stop off, and this thing will come right out, just like that. Once you get to that point, the slide just removes right off of this frame. It's that easy, folks. People make this harder than what it really is, but it's really that easy. So once you do that, you can just pull this spring out and set that aside, and then rotate the slide or the barrel bushing to the side, and that will be removed that easy. And you push down on this barrel lug, and this barrel just slides right out the front of the slide. And now you've completely field stripped a 1911 in a matter of seconds. People just make it a lot harder than it is. Now, first thing you're going to do after you've gone to the range is you want to take a copper bore brush. Now, like I said, this gun's not dirty, but I'm going to show you all the steps. And you're going to loosen this powder residue that's all inside the barrel, inside the rifling and everything. Just scrub around the throat and everything like that. Just loosen it up. Then it's a good idea to take the frame where the feed ramp is and scrub all that right there. See if you can knock some of the carbon loose on it. You can also take the end of the slide where all the carbon comes out and just loosen it up a little bit. The next thing you're going to do is you can remove the brush from the cleaning rod, and you're going to put a patch in it. So you just use an open end patch holder, and you screw that onto the end of your rod. And what I like to use is this Hoppy solvent. It seems to work the best. I've used it for years and I've never had any problems with it. So you're going to dip it into your Hoppies real good, just soak it all down, and you're going to go to your barrel first, and you're going to absolutely run this through here and just soak in as much of this Hoppies as you can in this barrel. Get it real soaked down inside the throat, and you want that to set aside and just set and do its magic while you work on the rest of the gun. So the next thing I always do is I always go to the frame and I clean really well, really good, all the feed ramp and all inside here where all the detonation happens. Scrub that down really good. Then you want to scrub all your rails and everything right here. Just scrub that down inside here where the slide rides onto it, where all residue can get. Just make sure all that's cleaned out. Clean all on the inside of here. And you're doing this with this hoppies. Once you get that to your liking, you want to take this slide here and you want to absolutely scrub all this down. You're using the same patch that you dipped in this hoppies. Just scrub all in here and scrub all inside these frame rails and everything like that. This area here gets really dirty right here, so you want to take it and just soak this down with hoppies and just scrub really good and get all the carbon off the inside of here and the inside of the ejection port here. So you just scrub really well. This always gets real dirty, and you can see it coming through the top of the slide and going up and down. Another important area here is right here where the barrel lugs lock into the barrel. You want to scrub all inside of there as good as you can, because that's important. That's for accuracy of your gun. That's where the barrel locks into place on the lockup. Okay, once you get all that absolutely scrubbed down, you want to take a clean patch. So you replace the patch on the end of your cleaning rod here. You get a clean patch, and this is hard to do on camera. That's why I had the first one already inserted in here. And you put a clean patch in. And once you do that, you can go back to your barrel and you start running a clean patch through this gun, and you do that continuously until the patch comes out clean. Of course, this one's going to come out clean because this gun wasn't even dirty before I started doing this, but you just keep running it through here and you wipe all inside the throat of the barrel off and everything, all underneath here. Just make sure this barrel's all good and clean. There's no carbon built up inside these little locking lugs on it and everything. Then you're going to go to the frame, and you're going to do the same thing with the clean patch. Just clean all the feed ramp area up, all the tops of the frame rails and everything like that. Just scrub them down good until you can't see any dirty carbon on the patch. And you change these patches as many times as is required. Then you're going to go to the slide, and I always start at the end here where it gets the most dirty, and scrub the whole end of it off and just clean this whole inside out with a dry patch, because you've allowed this hoppies to sit here for a while. Then you're going to go here and clean the barrel lugs, locking lugs out, and clean the whole inside the slide, all underneath there where I told you get really dirty here. This will all just wipe off this carbon because you've allowed that hoppies solvent to sit there on it. And then you're going to flip this over and clean this whole ejection port out of the slide. So once you've done all that, you're going to have a clean, carbon-free gun. So now, the most important thing with a 1911 is keeping it lubricated. Now, you keep it lubricated for two reasons. You want it to not corrode when you're storing it, and you also want it for a smooth operation. 1911s like to be lubricated very well in order for them to run flawlessly. So what I just use simple rim oil, and you can pick the lubrication of your choice. This is what I use. I've used it for years, and it seems to work good. So I always take my barrel, and I put a generous amount on the hood right here, and then I put a couple little beads across the entire barrel, and I spread that over the entire barrel, just making sure it's got a really good generous amount on the entire barrel here, because this actually moves onto the barrel bushing and it locks into here, and you want a smooth operation. And I take my finger and dab a little bit into the throat right here. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this frame here, and I'm going to drop a drop on each side and let it run down where the frame and the slide actually rub together. Then on the top here, I'm going to rub a little generous amount right here and just spread that with my finger. Just make sure this thing is good and lubed up. Right here where the feed ramp is, you can put a little bit on there. And you can't really use too much, folks, but you know, just be smart with it. You don't have to make an absolute mess with it. Now, on the slide here, I'm going to take it and drop a drop on top, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run it down the slide rails here and just let it run down. Then I'm going to take it and do a drop in the ends here and rub this around with my finger where the barrel bushing goes in. So basically you got all your moving parts were metal on metal lubed up. Take your barrel bushing that you've all cleaned up and everything, put a little drop on that, move it around here because that's going to be a rotating piece. So now we've got it cleaned, we've got it pretty good and lubed up. Now we're going to put this thing back together, and this is where people start having problems. And I know this is really hard to do on camera, but I'm going to do my best for you. You're going to take this barrel right here, it has a little link on it, and you're going to fold this up just like this. And that slides right back into the frame, or the slide, I'm sorry. Once you get that far, you have the barrel inserted. This barrel bushing here, you're going to insert that in and you're going to turn it counterclockwise. Once it drops all the way in, then you're going to rotate it clockwise until it's at a 90-degree perpendicular to the bottom hole on the slide. Once you get that far, you're going to take the guide rod and spring, you're going to fish it into the slide, leaving the little U part resting on the barrel. Now, this is the part people start struggling here. You're going to let this barrel link just hang here loose, just like this. And you're going to take your slide and mate it back together with the frame. And I'm going to try and get this to show up on camera. If you'll look through this hole here very carefully, you'll see when the barrel lug lines up. Once that lines up, you can take your slide stop here and insert it in here and let it hang straight up and down like that. Now, once you do that, you slide the slide back very easily and you line that small little notch up with where the slide stop goes. And this is where people mess up, and you can see this gun's got a little scratch on it. They call that an idiot scratch. This is from the 100 years that this gun's been put together. But once you get to that spot, you're going to take this thing and line it up on this plunger, and it just pushes in. You just snap it in here. Once it snaps in, you slide this thing all the way back forward, and you put your thumb safety back on. That keeps the slide from sliding back. Once you get to that point, you can put your plunger and you can put pressure on this thing without sliding the slide back, and you push it all the way down in here very carefully without launching the gun up into the, or launching the spring into the ceiling of your house. And once you get it there, that's going to hold that plunger down, and you do it and it snaps into place. Now, once you do that, you want to function check the gun. It works fine, and you point it in a safe direction, and it does go off. So we have successfully assembled our 1911 after we cleaned it. Now, you've got excess oil and everything all over this thing from where you've oiled it up really good. What I like to use from this point on is I like to use these Wilson Combat. These are silicone injected rags. So you take this silicone injected rag, and you wipe down all the excess, and it actually coats the gun with this silicone stuff that's done inside the rag when you order it from them. I love Wilson Combat stuff. Everybody knows, if you've watched this channel, I'm a big Wilson Combat fan. Well, these rags that they sell you are absolutely unbelievable. They make these things look incredible, and they absolutely do their job. And they actually send their firearms, when you buy a Wilson Combat pistol, they actually wrap them in one of these silicone base rags. These things are not that expensive, and they are worth their weight in gold to me. So you just absolutely wipe it all down, and now we have a fully assembled 1911, fully cleaned and ready to be stored away. If you can see, it looks a little wet on top of the barrel and everything, and that's okay. That means there's going to be no corrosive damage or any kind of rust damage, any kind of moisture doing any damage to it. And we have just went to the range, we came home, we've cleaned this gun up, and this gun is now ready to be put back into your gun safe or wherever you keep it. Stick your magazine back in, and it is ready for storage. So if It's not that hard, folks. It's not as easy as a Glock or anything like that, but it's not that hard. If anybody has any questions on how to do anything like this or how I maintain these, this was just a really example video on how I clean and maintain a 1911. It takes a little bit longer if it's really dirty, but it's all the same steps. So as you can see, this thing's perfectly ready to be put back in the store. There's a little bit of excess oil here and there, and it's not going to hurt a thing. But anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.